Unfortunately, most change initiatives fail. Whether it's a digital transformation, a business transformation, or some other sort of change initiative, more often than not, big enterprise change initiatives fail. But why exactly is that? That's what I want to talk about here today. My name is Eric Kimberling, and I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients throughout the world reach their third stage of digital transformation success. And I started my career as a change management consultant 25 years ago. I helped big companies through big tier 1 ERP enterprise technology implementations. And I've learned over the last 25 years that change initiatives are always hard. The technology changes and advances and improves at a rapid pace, but the way we manage change hasn't really kept up, and it hasn't changed as fast as it needs to. So what I want to do today is talk about the reasons why change initiatives fail, and more importantly, address what you can do to ensure that your change initiative doesn't fail. And this is going to be relevant whether you're a change management practitioner as part of a change management team, whether you're a project lead or a project team member within a transformation, or whether you're an executive or an executive steering committee member that's involved in a transformation. A first reason why so many change initiatives fail is because there's internal misalignment. In other words, the organization itself isn't clear and doesn't have the same vision and the same understanding of where the change initiative is going. So for example, if an organization is going through a digital transformation, they may have differing opinions on how much they want to standardize technology, or how much they want to leverage off-the-shelf technology without customization, or how much they want to leverage multiple best-of-breed solutions. All those are major decisions that need to be agreed upon, and ultimately you need to have alignment on what the direction of the project is. And these decisions and these areas of alignment that you need to get as an organization are usually not as focused on technology as it is the impact to the business. So in other words, what do we want to be when we grow up? What's the vision for this transformation or this change initiative? And how are we going to measure success? Those are just a few examples of the things that we need to do or answer to get aligned on our transformation. Now, one way to think about internal misalignment is to think of it as the headwinds that are going to slow you down in a change initiative. In other words, it doesn't matter how well you manage change or what kind of change tool sets you bring to the table or qualified change consultants that you might have on your team. If you have internal misalignment, it can oftentimes be impossible for the change initiative to be successful. So one of the best things you can do to ensure that your change initiative is successful is to make sure that you take time up front to get that alignment and to get that clarity of vision of what this transformation or what this initiative is and what it is you want your organization to be when it grows up. When we're going through a change initiative, it's natural to want to focus on the future. What is it we want to be? What is the organization going to look like? How are we going to leverage new technologies and processes to make our business better? That's an understandable priority and one that you shouldn't give up on. However, it's just as important to understand where you are today and have a deep understanding of your current state, your current business processes, the way things are organized today, the way technologies are being used today, what the strengths and weaknesses of the current state is, so that you can not only chart an accurate course of how big of a jump this is going to be from as is to future state, but also so that you are able to relate the future state back to what people understand now, which is the current state. So in other words, you don't want to just spring a bunch of future state visions and processes on to your employees without first connecting the dots between the way things work today and the way things are going to evolve to work in the future. So making sure you invest enough time, but not too much time, in your current state is an important part of making sure that your change initiatives are successful. Another common challenge with change initiatives is a sort of one-size-fits-all approach to change management or managing the human aspects of change. And while there's a variety of tools and processes and workflows that can be deployed to enable change management, not all of them are going to be relevant to your organization. Your change strategy can and should look different than your competitors or other organizations that are going through something similar. So the key here is to conduct an early stage organizational assessment to understand where the change pitfalls are for your particular culture, your particular organization, so that you can tailor a change strategy to address your specific needs in terms of where you are today, where you're headed, and what the risks are in terms of getting there. Another common challenge of change initiatives is underestimating resistance to change. And by underestimating resistance to change, you're inherently underestimating the time and effort it's going to take from a change management perspective. Now, the reason organizations so often underestimate resistance to change is because we're human. We see the tip of the iceberg, but we don't see what's underneath the iceberg. So oftentimes what happens is we see at the tip of the iceberg that people within the organization are generally frustrated with the current state. They're excited about the future state. So therefore, we assume that there's not going to be much, if any, resistance to change. But underneath the iceberg is all the details of what that change means. As people learn what exactly the change means and what it means to them and how it's going to disrupt their day-to-day lives, they slowly start to resist change. Not because they're bad people, not because they want to sabotage the project, not because they don't care about the company, because their world has been disrupted. So it's important to recognize and anticipate resistance to change and really dig underneath the tip of the iceberg early in the project so you can understand and anticipate where those likely sources of resistance are going to come from. For example, if you're an organization that struggles with cross-departmental collaboration, it may be that people within the organization are going to have trouble with an enterprise-wide technology that provides integration and visibility across the organization. Again, not because that's not a bad thing or people don't recognize the business value that that capability would bring to the table, but because now you're asking them to look outside their comfort zone. You're asking people now to understand what's going on upstream and downstream. You're giving them new responsibilities, and you're disrupting their day-to-day work lives. So understanding that is important so that you can anticipate where that resistance to change might come from. And the best way to do that is to conduct an organizational assessment, which is something that we do at Third Stage with our clients, and really quantify and gather qualitative information as well to understand the culture of the organization and what it is that the sources of resistance are likely to be. Another root cause of many change initiatives is the fact that so many executives don't buy into the project or aren't good sponsors of the project. Oftentimes they'll bless the project. They'll say, yes, we can do this project. They'll sign the checks, they'll approve the budget. But when it comes to making core business decisions or helping the team work through challenges and pitfalls within the implementation, oftentimes executives are nowhere to be found. And if you're an executive within an organization, or if you're working with executives within an organization, it's important to manage their expectations that their job is to do more than just approve the project, sign the checks that pay the bills, and to get the occasional project status report. Their jobs are to make key decisions around what the business and what the organization and what the processes are going to look like in the future. Now, certainly the project team is going to make recommendations. They're going to do a lot of the detailed day-to-day work that you wouldn't expect an executive team to take part in, but there are key milestones and checkpoints that you want to make sure that you have the executives on board and you're sort of putting the ball in their court to give them ownership of the decisions, or at least validating the decisions that are made throughout the project. Now, the final big risk that we see with change initiatives that oftentimes lead to failure is the fact that change management is so often conducted in a silo. It's conducted as a separate team with a separate tool set, and it's conducted by people oftentimes that don't really understand the business or the operations or the technological components of a project. I've worked with a lot of change consultants that view themselves as strictly change consultants, and they want nothing to do with operational understanding. They want nothing to do with really understanding what happens out in the manufacturing shop floor. They want nothing to do with understanding the technology, the integration, and all that other stuff. And while you can't expect change practitioners to be experts in everything, you can expect them to understand at a high level how all these pieces fit together. Because at the end of the day, they're responsible for enabling the change with humans that do have to understand all those detailed nuances that they're going to have to live with for years to come. So it's important that you don't view change management necessarily as something that operates in a silo, but something that's very integrated with the operations, the technology, the overall strategy of the organization. So these are some of the reasons why so many change initiatives fail. I also wanted to invite you to download our Guide to Organizational Change Management, which contains a number of best practices and tips to help enable an effective change strategy and change plan for your digital transformation, business transformation, or other sort of change initiative. I've included links to that below, so I encourage you to download that in the description field below. I've also included links to other resources that I think will help you through your change initiatives, so be sure to check that out as well. So I hope you found this information useful and hope you have a great day. or some more, dang it, so close. Project. I've worked with your change strategy, your change, or a digital transformation or some other sort of, jeez. I had like 6 words that were colliding in my brain that were trying to come out all at once.